there, my name is Dr. Katie Saint, and this video is about anxiety and our emotions and what we can do to kind of push through those emotions so that we make good choices. So, the first thing that I want you to evaluate about your anxiety is if you make any rules because of it. So take some time to think about rules that you maybe create to avoid something bad happening. So maybe you're anxious about going um, into groups. So an example of a rule that you might create is I'm not going to go to groups because if I go, it's going to be awful and horrible. Therefore, I am going to avoid that situation. Sometimes we create these rules because of our anxiety that really limit our life. And they cause problems for us. They hurt our relationships. Sometimes people get mad at us because of it. So I want you to take some time and talk with someone and really reflect on, have I made some rules because of my anxiety that are actually hurting me more than they're helping me? All right, go ahead and pause the video and take some time to think about that, talk about that, and explore if that's the case for you. What kind of problematic rules have you created to protect yourself from anxiety? Okay, so the next point that I want you to focus on is how you can face your emotions and accept them rather than avoid them. So part of how anxiety gets worse is we avoid it. So when we run from it, when we hide from it, when we try to shove it down, it grows. So part of how we make our anxiety less powerful is we face it. So say you have that rule that you made up that I will never talk to Susie because she is way too cool and that just makes me too anxious, so I'm going to avoid her. Well, the more you avoid her, the more powerful that fear is. But if you want to get over that fear, then you're going to have to face it. Accept that you're anxious. It's okay you feel anxious, but you need to persist through and do that behavior anyway. When we do things afraid, it makes the feeling of fear smaller. The more we do it, the less fear we have. But that fear won't go away unless we face it. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video again and think about, what things should you do afraid right now? What are some fears that you need to face that um, that if you faced them, they could get better? What sort of things are you avoiding or running from so that you don't have to feel anxious or afraid? Go ahead and pause the video, talk about that with someone, think about any areas that you would really benefit from facing your fears. Okay, the next point that I want you guys to think about is your values. So what I mean by values is literally anything you care about. So sometimes what that looks like is you really want to snack, you really want to hang out with someone, you want people to be happy with you, those kind of things. So when we are really anxious, sometimes we don't think about what it is that we truly care about, and we screw ourselves over. So say you really, really want to have a close friendship with Johnny, but being around Johnny makes you nervous, right? So you don't talk to him. Sometimes you maybe do behavior that's kind of avoidant, and because of that, your relationship with him is not very good. But it makes you sad that you're not closer to him. So the only way to get past that is to recognize, like, hey, if this is something I really care about, I need to push through this emotion and I need to do it anyway. Sometimes when we're anxious, when we like hang out with other people, we get controlling, and that pushes people away. That hurts friendships. People don't want to hang out with us anymore. If we get too bossy, people are like, this guy's a jerk, and they don't want to hang out. But that comes from our anxiety. So we need to take a moment to recognize that and say, hey, like, I actually really like hanging out with these people. And if I keep being bossy and controlling, they are not going to keep playing with me. And that would make me sad. That would be disappointing. So we need to take some time to really reflect on, like, what do we care about? And are we doing any behaviors that actually screws those things over? Like, does it really stress you out when people get mad at you? It stresses me out. So then we should look at our behavior and say, hey, what am I doing that's causing people to get mad at me? You know, maybe you feel anxious about things, and your response to anxiety is to do things that actually make people get mad at you. And sometimes you get in trouble because of how you're responding to your anxiety. That's good for you to recognize. You can take a moment then and be like, okay, I feel anxious right now, and that's okay. But it is not okay to yell at people because I'm anxious, or it's not okay to take things from other people just because I'm anxious. So, you know, remind yourself that if I really don't want people mad at me, I need to change my behavior, even though I feel this way. So, part of how you get your emotions under control is not to get rid of them, but rather to do the right thing, even though you feel that way. So the more we practice that skill, the better we get at it. So we're going to watch a video now on YouTube about being flexible in play. And this just kind of demonstrates how sometimes we screw ourselves over with our behavior. And so we need to reflect on what we really want, and if our behavior is serving us in that way, if it's helping us, or are we actually screwing ourselves over? So I am going to go ahead and share my screen now. Here we go.
I like to play with my friends, but I like to play my way. I don't like to listen to their ideas. I don't want to do what they want. Sometimes I get upset and fight with my friends. My friends get scared when I yell at them. Then my friends leave and won't play with me anymore. Now I'm alone. Being alone makes me sad. I still like playing my way, but I would rather have friends. I need to do things differently next time. So next time, I can take a deep breath when I'm frustrated. I can listen to my friends' ideas. I could choose to play alone, or I could choose to play how my friends want. But whatever I choose, I will use a nice voice, nice hands, and I will respect my friends.
All righty. So that video is an example of how, you know, this person was feeling anxious and they were doing things that actually hurt their friendships, and it kind of screwed them over. So even though they liked their friends, they were doing things that hurt their relationship. So once they realized that, and once they took the time to reflect on, like, hey, this is screwing me over, this is not helping my friendships, then, you know, they could make better choices to build those relationships. So go ahead and just take some time to reflect on, like, what you're doing that's maybe screwing you over, that's not helping you get to the things you care about. So talk about that with somebody and brainstorm about what sort of strategies are going to work for you to be able to push through your emotions. Keep in mind that at first it's going to be really, really hard. This is something we have to practice a lot. So you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel nervous, but then you're going to remind yourself, hey, I really want to keep these friendships, or I really don't want to make my parents mad. And so then you're going to push through. Or maybe your fear is, I hate feeling anxious. I hate this feeling. I just want this to go away. Well, the only way to make anxiety go away is to face it and to do things afraid. So when you feel anxious, Don't run from it, don't hide it, don't stuff it. Accept that you feel that way, and then persist towards your values, what you care about, what's meaningful to you. All right, thanks so much for listening.